Hey everybody, it's me, Saigon Sam. It's September 10th, 2009, and this is the beginning of a several-part series on surviving and hopefully prospering here in Ho Chi Minh City, otherwise known as Saigon. And basically, if there's anything that I mentioned, particularly websites or Vietnamese names that you don't know how to spell, have a look at the YouTube description on the right panel, and it'll spell those out clearly for you. So the first thing I want to talk about, because it is so central to living in Vietnam, or for that matter any country, is the visa situation. The laws change frequently, and in fact there were some changes just last week that affect retirees and people who'd like to stay here long term. One of the main changes was that it used to be that you could easily obtain a 6-month multiple entry business visa from a foreign consulate, and basically stay here on that visa and then renew it, as I understand, every 6 months up to 3 years, at which point you get a new visa. Now, however, the law has changed, and my understanding is the only way to be here, well, there's essentially 2 or 3 ways. One is you can seek permanent residency, which is challenging, but it's doable if you marry a Vietnamese or if you're married to a Vietnamese. If that option doesn't appeal to you, you can get a job here, in which case you can get the 6-month business visa, and as long as you have a letter from the company, you can basically renew it without much difficulty around every 6 months, and it costs about $90 US, which is actually very reasonable compared to other countries in the region. And the last way you can come here is on a tourist visa, and as I understand, the maximum tourist visa now is 1 month, so that actually is the most difficult option, because yes, while in principle, for instance, you could take the train to Cambodia or the airplane to Hong Kong, once every month, get a new visa and turn around, that's obviously not a practical way to live. So unfortunately, if you're just looking to retire here, I would have to tell you the only realistic way to do that, as far as I know at this time, is short of marriage, is to get a job here. And if you're an English-speaking, very fluent English-speaking foreigner, that generally means an English-teaching job. I can tell you a little about that. Basically, English teaching jobs pay about, depends, but about $1,300 to $1,600 a month, depending on where you work. That compares very well with typical, white-collar, blue-collar local salaries, which are anywhere from maybe $80 to $300 a month here. So, the engineering degree maybe that you worked 8 years for is not necessarily worth even, a quarter as much as the language you learned by the time you were 6 years old. Such is the growth rate here economically, and such is the demand to converse with the international community, which, that's a great sign. This country is growing quickly, and at least there's a way for you to make a living if you choose to live here long term. Anyway, that's the end of this first part 1, and next up I'd like to discuss some basic water issues with you. Take care.